All right, we're diving straight into the latest AI trends report from Bond. And look, the main takeaway is simple. A technological tsunami is here. It's moving faster than anything we have ever seen, and it is completely rewriting the rules for, well, everyone. Let's get right into it. So to really get a handle on how ridiculously fast AI is moving, we have to go back, way back to 1999. Vint Cerf, one of the folks who literally built the internet, he gave us this amazing phrase, internet time. For decades, that was the gold standard for speed. But what the Bond report makes crystal clear is that AI isn't just moving at internet speed, oh no, it's playing a completely different sport. And this is where everything you thought you knew about fast just gets blown out of the water. Look at this. Netflix, it took them over 10 years to hit 100 million users. Instagram, which felt impossibly fast, did it in 2.5 years. And then there's ChatGPT. It got there in 2 months. I mean, that's not just a little bit faster. That is a fundamentally different reality, a whole new curve for how technology gets adopted. So yeah, that insane, mind-bending speed, that's our first big theme here. The report is very specific. It doesn't call this a wave. It calls it a tsunami, because the speed and the sheer scale are just unlike anything we've ever had to deal with before. You want to feel the scale of this tsunami? Here's a number for you. 800 million. By April of 2025, that was the number of people using ChatGPT every single week. That's a huge slice of the entire internet population, built in what feels like the blink of an eye. And you know what's really different this time around? It's how this thing is spreading. Think about it. The internet, it was born in the US, and it took more than 2 decades for it to become truly global. But AI, it went global pretty much instantly. ChatGPT is on pace to hit that same mark, 90% of its users outside North America, in just 3 years. It's like it didn't spread across the world, it just appeared everywhere all at once. Okay, but all this incredible speed, it comes at a price. A really, really big price. And that gets us to our second major theme, the absolutely astronomical economics of what it takes to fuel this AI engine. Just take a look at what the big 6 US tech giants are spending. In 2024, it shot up to $212 billion. That's a 63% jump in a single year. That's not just a good quarter, folks. That is a full-blown, all-hands-on-deck pivot, with everyone aiming their fire hoses of cash at one thing, building AI. So where's all that cash going? Well, a massive chunk is going into building these data centers. NVIDIA's CEO calls them AI factories. And honestly, that's the perfect way to think about it. We are seeing a construction boom that is basically a vertical line. Because these aren't just buildings with servers anymore. They are the factories that are literally producing the intelligence for this entire new era. And this brings us to the crazy central paradox of this whole AI boom. According to the report's estimates for 2024, OpenAI brought in almost $4 billion in revenue. Amazing, right? But they spent $5 billion just on the computing power to make it work. So wait a minute. How on earth do you build a sustainable business when you're losing over $1 billion on the very thing you sell? That's the huge question mark hanging over this entire industry. And if you think those numbers are wild, buckle up because they're not going down. The CEO of Anthropic, Dario Modi, he predicts that training a top-of-the-line model is about to jump from billions to tens of billions. He thinks we could see the first $10 billion training run as early as 2025. The sheer scale of money we're talking about, it's just hard to wrap your head around. So what happens when you're burning that much cash? You get a race. A frantic, high-stakes race where coming in second is just not an option. You absolutely have to win to justify the spend. So, right now, here's what the playing field looks like. The overwhelming majority of people, about 85%, are using these closed models from the big players like OpenAI and Google. They've got the early lead, for sure. They have everyone's attention. And when I say this race is relentless, I mean it is just non-stop. The report highlights one single week in May 2025. Get this, Monday, bam, Google launches. Tuesday, bam, Microsoft announces. Wednesday, Anthropic drops a new model. Thursday, OpenAI pushes new features. It's a series of back-to-back, all-out sprints. But hold on, there's another player in this game, a real wild card, open source. For a long time, the big closed models were way better. But that is changing, and it's changing fast. Look at this, on a super complex math test, a top open source model is now basically neck and neck with its closed, expensive competitor. This is a huge, huge deal. So what you have is this total pressure cooker. You've got exploding competition from all sides, the actual performance is getting pretty similar across the board, and it's all creating this brutal, desperate race to be the first one to figure out a business model that actually makes sense. Okay, so let's zoom all the way out now to the biggest picture possible. Because this isn't just about which company wins. The report's biggest, most important point is that this high-stakes race has now become the new front line for global power. And Meta's CTO, Andrew Bosworth, he just nails it. He calls AI our space race. He says you're up against a really capable competitor, in this case China, and it's a race where you simply cannot afford to fall behind. That metaphor perfectly captures the national-level stakes we're talking about. And to really get what's on the line, you gotta look back 30 years. In 1995, the world's most valuable companies were mostly split between the US and Japan. Fast forward to today, it's almost total US economic dominance. But, see that? China is now in the game. That's the economic setup for this new race. And here it is. This is the chart that really drives the whole geopolitical point home. Right now, the US has the lead in building these huge, powerful AI systems. But look at China. They are closing that gap, and they are closing it fast. This is the race for leadership in the 21st century, right here on this chart. Which leads to this massive, fundamental takeaway from the whole report. It used to be that having geopolitical power allowed a country to lead in technology. That idea, the report argues, has been completely flipped on its head. Now, leadership in AI is the thing that creates geopolitical leadership. The stakes just could not be higher. So, we'll leave you with this powerful thought from Stephen Hawking. He said creating true AI could be the biggest event in human history. But he warned, it could also be our last. The AI tsunami is here. It's moving with more force and speed than anything before it, and figuring out how to navigate it, as this report makes so clear, is now the central challenge for all of us.